Everyone, my name is Corey, and today we're going to be taking a look at Dolmenwood, the campaign book. I previously have done the player's book, which I did in a previous video, which was interesting because I am new to Dolmenwood. I saw that the pre-orders were out, which is kind of what got me into it. And this one was interesting because I shared out the previous video, and some people were helpful and shared a little bit about how, oh, you should check out the campaign book. So this is what we're doing. We're going to take a look at the campaign book, but there was also just the most interesting comment from a few others, which was very curious. My favorite one, I'm reading it now, says, a blind first look at Dolmenwood in mid-2025 within the OSR scene is surreal. So, some people seemed quite offended that I was new to Dolmenwood, which is interesting. You would have thought I maybe had insulted their mother, but nope, I'm just new to it. But to the people that were helpful and pointed out this book, that was appreciated. Now we're going to take a little bit of a look through it, because apparently this book is where the meat and potatoes is. So that's interesting. In the player's book, I was kind of like, yeah, if someone ran this for me, I would play it, but I don't think I would have ran it myself. We'll see if this changes that. We'll see what people think afterwards. If there's any input, very curious to hear how this video goes. To see how this video goes, rather. And yeah, we'll jump in. First thought is, I like the art again. Just the art style in this whole series has been really impressive. I had to go and pick this one up from the pre-order site again to get the digital copy. And as I understand it, this is like more or less the final book. So we'll see what it looks like. And I think their like official release should be coming pretty soon, but I am not in on the details for that. So let's take a look at the book itself. Yeah, we got some Exalted Funeral, Necrotic Gnome, familiar stuff here. This is the August 6th, 2024 version, which I'm pretty sure is the most up-to-date one. And let's see what we got. So Secrets of Dolmenwood, Actions and Powers, Running a Campaign, Exploring the Wild, Settlements, Hex Descriptions, Treasures and Oddments, Appendices. Holy shit, there are 464 pages. Oh my god. That is a lot of pages. Normally when I look at a game, I'm just doing a first look at like classes, mechanics, how do you roll the dice. The lore is usually something that I spend less time in. I don't know if I'll do too much with the lore here, but obviously since this is the campaign book, we kind of have to dive in and take a look at some of it at least. But it seems like there's also some stuff here on running the campaign, which is probably what I'm more interested in. Like, how does this game help me run it? Like, how do these pieces come together? What does that look like? So we'll probably stick to more of those, which it looks like, yeah, first 85 pages is lore. So we might scroll through that. Looks we have a running the campaign, exploring the wild section, which that's probably where I'm most interested. We have some settlements, which is fine. We'll take a look through some of those. We'll maybe like spot pick a couple. And then we have the hex descriptions, which my understanding is that a lot of what's in here is you can just hop into these hexes and you can play a game for a very long time. And based off of the fact that this is nearly 200 pages, that seems pretty reasonable. Like a lot of content in here. I think I spent $20 Canadian for this, or maybe US, I can't remember. And then we have some appendices, which we might take a look at too, because usually in games like this, tables are a big thing. Nice art up there. Okay, Secrets of Dolmenwood. We've got some lore, we've got some art. Oh, okay. This is nice. I like this. Tells you how to play the game, prepare a session. I do like it when games include that. So what do we actually do? So it says read the player's book first. I did that. That was fine. Very interesting experience sharing that on Reddit, as I mentioned already. Next, read the first two sections of this book, Secrets and Factions. Okay, so it wants us to read the lore. Choose a starting date. Choose a starting settlement. Read the settlement info. Okay. Maybe as we go through this, we'll like mock do this process. So like looking for these things. Read the descriptions of the hex in which the starting set was located and the 6 surrounding hexes. We can play some adventures. I do have a copy of Winter's Daughter, which I would like to do at some point. I don't know if I'll run that as part of Dolmenwood or something else, because you can do it with whatever, but we'll see. What else? Prepare rumors first session. Allow the players to soak up the flavor of the settlement. Oh, it's spelled the Canadian way. I love that. Oh, nice. I am not really sure where Necrotic Gnome or Exalted Funeral are based out of. But if they were Canadian, I probably would be familiar with that. So I'm guessing they're probably UK, but we will not worry about that. We'll just keep going. So what's in this book? We kind of already took a look at the table of contents, so we know what's going on here. It also needs the monster book, which I did not get. So if there's anything that we need there, that's too late for us. Regions. Okay, so some nice stuff here. Okay, let's read like one of these. Oh, there's little mice. Home of the Cobbins. Okay, so this is these 4. Now, does it add on? I understand that this is what the Valley of the Wise Beast is these 4 hexes, but there's all this other stuff I'm not quite sure. Quaint homes, wooden homes, humanoid beasts, cobbins. Very nice. There's the Nag Lord as Lord of Creation. What an interesting name, Nag Lord. They just nag you into doing stuff. Okay. Dominion of the Cold Prince. We love a prince in lore. Okay, lore. Oh my gosh, this is a lot of lore. This is nice, but not for me right now. More maps and stuff. Very good. Okay, so this is a bunch of secrets. This is nice. Like you could add all these things in. I'm not too concerned. Like maybe if I was starting this, I would want to like pick one of the secrets that stands out and then, add it in. But I'm not going to remember all this for first session. So that's that. Ooh, I like this. This is very dramatic. A little rainbow thing there. Okay. I think we're gonna skip. We're gonna say this is nice and continue on to the factions. Okay, so in Dolmenwood, there's a variety of factions, which looks also nice, but I'm probably not gonna remember it for the first session. Oh gosh, that is fun, but spooky. Very good. Oh, this is the Nag Lord. Okay. I was imagining something else when we talked about nagging people into doing stuff. Oh gosh, level 22. That's a lot. There's the Cold Prince. He seems to be a very, very important character. He's come up in a lot of places. That is a unique look. Oh my gosh, so that. Very nice. I mean, the art is good enough to keep me interested in these sections, but oh gosh. Yeah, this is a lot of stuff. Like, it's nice. I don't know if I would agree with you need to read that first. There's the humans. Okay, we're gonna continue on. So we have a bunch of lore. Lots of lore. More lore than we could shake a stick at. Which is really nice. So whenever you want lore, you have it available to you. Okay, running a campaign. So this is probably the part that I'm more interested in. So we'll probably dive into more of these parts. So there's different types of campaigns. There's a player-driven campaign. So you have it as a sandbox hex crawl style. And then you kind of go there. This is interesting because to me, player-driven is where the players, like, this is more of like a group-driven campaign to me. Like, your group is deciding where it goes. If it is player-driven, then each player could have their own red that they go to, kind of like in Game of Thrones. But that's just being picky. Plot-driven campaigns, you can have an overarching plot. That's kind of fun. I feel like a lot of games start with the group of just like moving around, trying stuff, and then eventually an emergent narrative comes through and you kind of follow that through. Oh yeah, and then here's a section on mixing campaign styles. And then there's different ways to run the group. When starting a campaign, check in the players to get a feeling for their preferred tone. Sure. So this is kind of just like, good general advice for starting a game. There's whimsy and horror. There's the time period. There's the role of the church. Doing this just as the new pope was voted in. Chicago is very elated, I'm sure. The new pope is from Chicago. First American pope. Anyways, there's the wider world, and then there's the campaign themes. So there's the intrigue. I like this. This is nice. Like, what themes are there? Because when I'm a GM and I'm like prepping, like, you really have to figure out what themes you want. And if you don't, your game's kind of going to be a hodgepodge, which is okay. But having the themes laid out is nice. And I don't need to use these at the table. This is just kind of how I prepare. Like, I'll get ready and read this stuff. Ooh, the Cold Prince returns. This seems like I'm going to say this seems like a very prominent one that I imagine a lot of people do because of this prince dude showing up in so many places. What does this say? From his frosty domain, isolated in deep fairy, the Cold Prince's hatred of mortal seas. A very Game of Thrones-esque. So possible events is there's the Cold Prince. They do some stuff. They have some troops moving around. So there's some things on there. This is nice. I like this. The way it lays these out. And I like that it has hyperlinked. Like, I can click on these pages if I wanted. Be like, boom, here we go. Now, Adobe is not nice and will not save where I was before, so I can't hit back, but That's Adobe. Okay, so what do we have here? Running the games. Yeah, here's how you GM. This is what the players do. Just general good advice. Advice on creating adventure sites and drawing PCs towards them. The first step on designing adventures is to decide on the type of scenario. How do you draw people in? So they're exploring the unknown. They find a clue about the location. They do some stuff there. It was fun. It would be, I would enjoy writing, I think, an adventure for this. Like, I think it would be very fulfilling. Okay, and then you have a section on designing dungeons, stock the dungeon, how to draw dungeons. This is nice. Not a lot of places include this. Okay, and then it talks about, general stuff here. There's a little section on restocking. This is fun. Rolling the encounters. And then some ideas for activities. So good solid advice on how to get involved with this stuff. And then some stuff on plants. Okay. Traps. Good for inspiration. Secret doors. All this stuff would be really good if you were writing an adventure. Like, this is really useful to have. If I'm working on my writing, I can totally see myself opening this up and using it. Just like so much content for how to generate ideas for what's in these places. How to award XP. Very nice. Okay. A little rule here on new player characters. They can start out with half the XP of your old character. That's kind of fun. If you're doing a milestone one, you could do that. My understanding is that these games tend to be a lot better if you do the XP for, treasure and overcoming encounters. Okay. So, a nice section. Nothing really different there, but it is like a lot of solid good stuff, so that's nice. Like, it would be handy to have that around while you're writing, while you're doing prep. I do tend to prefer games that are a little bit low prep, so I would probably want things that are more pre-written myself. But that is a-okay. What else do we have here? Seasons. So more lore. Weather tables. Very nice. Okay. Okay, this section seems to be a little bit more focused on the hex scroll stuff, so we might want to slow down. Has rules for sunlight, daylight, more encounters. lots of weather. You could roll this every day and see how the weather is. Okay, so if you get lost, what happens? Oh, you have some consequences. So you roll 3d6 and then you see what happens. Okay, that's fun. I mean, this really works well if you're doing the hex scroll style. And you have some encounters. Okay. Whoa. Okay. This is nice. If you give me a book that just has tables and tables and tables of stuff, that is a-okay with me. The only thing that's awkward is I didn't get the monster book, so I can't look at any of these right now. Section on fishing. Ooh, fun. I like that they have rakes with them. Foraging. Hunting. There's a lot. Elements. Okay, I was kind of expecting that to tell me more, but that's okay. I imagine once we get to the hex section, it'll maybe talk about how to play that out. Okay, and then settlements. We'll pick one settlement. And then once we're done that, we'll carry on. What's a good settlement these days? Gobden on the Shiva. Oh, this is cute. Oh, I used to use this art pack on Roll20. Looks so nice. Okay, let's do the one after this. Ancient capital of the High Wold and burgeoning town of hedonism. Okay, they got some stuff on. Things going on here. Lore. They have a bunch of locations. They have some encounter tables. Day and night. There's a little key here. All of them are hyperlinked. I love that. Castle Perignon. I mean, that's French. Perignon. Something like that. Castle. They have a griffinry. I'm wondering, like, how exactly do you use this? Like, you could just tell the players, like, here are all the things that are in this town that you know about. If you want to go to any of them and do stuff, you're welcome to. Okay. Oh, a nice cat. This is quite a bit. It's nice that there's so many options, but yeah, I would definitely I would follow the game guide and I would pick one, learn a little bit about it, maybe share with the players an excerpt or something. I don't know. This is kind of, again, where a spot where it's like, I would love someone to run this for me to see a bit more what this looks like. It is a lot of information, though. Really impressed with how much they've just managed to include here. And very good art. Okay. I love the moon in the background here. Just this look. It's giving like just the most fucked up moon you could imagine. Not quite on par with Majora's Mask, but comparable. Okay, so this is the hex descriptions. So my hope is that this section is the like gold star that shows like this is how you can play the game and how it is magical to play. We'll see how it works there. Okay, the Dolmenwood campaign is divided into 200 hexes. That is so many hexes. The following 200 pages of this book each describe one hex on the map. So you have like 200 pages worth of adventures. That is just wild. It's really nice that it's one page each. You got a header, hex number, flavor text, blah, blah, blah. Geographical info, features, map, all that kind of stuff. Encounters. Oh, this is the first one. Okay. Very good. Okay, let's look at this one and let's look at a couple others and let's just try and understand. So if you're here, a barren expanse of stagnant pools. So this is like the forest of sorrows or forest of sadness from the swamp of sadness from Neverending Story, kind of. The keening wind carries strains of distant violin music. Yep. We are in the Neverending Story right now. So what do we have? It's a bog, evidently. There's a 2 in 6 chance. Encounters are 2 in 6 likely to be with a bewildered banshee. Heading to a ball at the spectral manth. Okay. And there's some rules for foraging here. Very detailed. Oops. So a thicket of twisted blackthorn stands amid a treacherous region of rivulets and sodden moss carpets. Those who push through the tangled branches arrive at blue-tinged spectral vision of a baroque manor of dark wood, its windows lit with the veiled glow of firelight behind drawn curtains. Okay, so this interesting spectral manor. You can go explore it. It's interesting how like you would combine this with the other tables, with your prep, and you'd kind of get this like 3-dimensional story that you could have at the table. It is nice. Like, I like how much of this does the work for you, so that's really nice. I simply do not have the time to come up with all this lore and stuff on my own. What else? So there's a lord here. There is some furnishings in the random table. Okay, let's go check out another section. This is a little... Oh, can I click on these? Oh my god, wow. They hyperlinked all of these. That is wild. I love that. That's really useful because then I can literally just like click, click, click. So what is this? The design of this PDF is impressive. Like it's just a 2-column layout, so nothing wild there. That's a really good format just to stick to, but like the way everything is connected, that's very cool. So I can see myself, you know, once we're getting ready for the first session, like, yes, I understand this hex, and then I'm going to go read the 6 hexes around it. And that's that. You can kind of add stuff in, come up with ideas. So that's fun. I really enjoy playing a game where my prep is just finding ideas, putting them onto paper, and then we run the session and we see what sticks. So this is the skeletal gardener. 3 in 6 chance that you get lost here or have encounters. Something that's nice is when you do have this format, this does travel really well because that's all you're doing. Travel is one of those interesting things in stories where you get like a few different outcomes. You know, travel can be in like Game of Thrones or Wheel of Time where it's like you go from one location to the other, and depending where you are in the story, that could basically be teleportation. Where it's like, oh yeah, you take 10 days, you get there, and that's that. Like, did it matter that you took 10 days to get there? Probably not. So that's interesting. Travel as teleportation is probably one of my least favorite things in games. But if the game doesn't have any travel rules, then that's that. Whereas this goes the completely opposite direction. Says this game is entirely traveling. That's what we're doing. That's what we're here for. We're gonna travel, travel, travel till we can't travel no more. And it gives you a whole framework for that, which is fun. They like the word manse. We were in a spectral manse on the other one. Now we're in a ruined manse. Okay. So just so much content. So detailed too. I don't quite know how, like, how would I want, this is why I would want someone else to run it for me first, because I want to see, like, how does this look? Like, how does someone weave together these things so that, you know, you have maybe like an adventure location. How do you get there? What does that look like? How do you move around? I think someone provided some suggestions or some actual plays, which I'm probably gonna go check out. Oh, this is fun. Okay, you really have lore in here that goes for forever. You do have to figure out how these things interact with the party. Like you kind of need to, your job as the game runner, I imagine, would be to bring these things to life. King Pliskin's Road. I hate that name, but that's okay. What else do we have here? And Shaggy Tree, I like that much more than Puskin. We have a goat person, kind of jacked. Oh, I didn't even see you stepping on a body. Oh, this is a toll bridge. Oh, that's fun. Very, very folklore-y, very fairy tale. What else? Gosh, there's so much. Okay, let's read one more hex that we find and looks kind of cool. Sure, what is this? Okay, so this is a thorny forest in the Nagwood. There's a black slime that coats everything in this hex. The slime is the source of the sickly, syrupy aroma that permeates this wood. So only the strong can resist vomiting if you touch this stuff to your tongue. There are brain-like fruits. There are shub eggs. And there's a shrine to Saint Faxus here. Okay. Very interesting. Oh, this is fun. Nice frosty tower. The anti-prism. Okay. This is quite nice. Like, obviously, someone's heart and soul, many people's heart and soul has probably gone into creating all sorts of wonderful content here, and it's quite nice. Like, it all seems good. Maybe Pusskin is not the name I would have chosen, but that's fine. Oh, that's so cute. That is amazing. I want to go here. That is lovely. Oh, that's spooky. Okay, where do we go next? What does it look like for a place like this? Okay. Nice. What if I just like keep looking over? Wow, okay, that was a lot. I mean, obviously that is the gold star of what we're looking at here is what, 200 pages of content? Places you can go, flavor to add in. So I mean, quite impressive just on its own. I'd really want to see how it looks all coming together because that seems like the bread and butter that you start with, and then you kind of incorporate things, add stuff in, figure out how your adventure is gonna move in, make those pieces work. Okay, section on treasure, lots of treasure, love treasure, magic items. We got a wet cat, magic garments, magic instruments, enchantments, magic rings, magic weapons, all sorts of stuff. This is fun. I mean, when you're a player, you really want to like you want to get cool stuff. You want to use it. Things that are fun. Essence of springtime, bottled light. This is all really nice. This is like the hexes that we saw earlier are fun. It's a good spot for the GMs and the players to interface with each other through the story. But you know, when you're as a player, you know, a whole bunch of just like fun, exciting, different, you know, items, potions, magic wands, all sorts of cool stuff there. That really is good for the players. Like it's quite fun. Okay. Wondrous items, trade goods, enchanted stuff. Okay, so I think ooh, nice. And we have some appendices. So we'll see what kind of appendices we've got. See what stands out. We have a short adventure here. There's some hooks. Um, so I wonder if this will give us some ideas about how to start this. Like, how do we incorporate this all together? So you start in a settlement. And then you can either travel there or start play there. We've got some background. Okay. And then we have the actual map. So it looks like a keep, or an old keep, and it's gone underground. So now there's dungeons there. Okay, so this is fun. This is like a little bit. I really like really short stats for monsters. Like for example, ragged armor. What is that? Does that mean anything? I maybe just have to like get more familiar with the game to know that stuff. Okay, and then they know some stuff. Okay, so some of this is actually just background. Not a whole lot of like actual mechanics, which is nice. Like I like really short, brief mechanics. Things that I can put onto like an index card at most. The adventure may have various repercussions depending on their actions. So they could release a prisoner. There's local spies. Atonway's interest is piqued. Okay, so I'm kind of seeing how this comes together now. So you have your little settlement, you have your adventure location. They travel to it more or less. They get there. There's various things to do here. So you kind of rely on the sandbox to build this sort of three-dimensional story that you're putting together. And then, it comes with some suggestions and ideas of like, here are things that could happen. So you can kind of guide the story if you want to. You can just like tell the players and be like, hey, go do these things. We have a section on rumors. Oh, this is fun. This is really nice because this looks like it's going to connect a bunch of stuff in the story. So you can just bring these up. Okay, this is nice. I like this. And they have different rumors for all the different places. This is super helpful because it's kind of like how do you pick things? That's kind of the second part is when you have this much content, you also need a way to be able to pick things. So I like that. It's like, hey, here's the locations they can go pick a couple of these and you're good. We got some stuff on spells. I don't really care about that. And then the index. Oh my goodness. There are so many people that were part of this. This is amazing. I'm really impressed with how many people have collaborated on this. Like tons of artists. Lots of writing. Very cool. It was originally developed in 2013. Okay. Tenaway, so I pronounced it correctly. Wow, okay. And then maps. Okay, here's some reference sheets. I want to take a look at some of these because reference sheets are what I'm probably going to have at the table. Not a 400-page book. 470 pages, actually. So you pick your days, you roll on the table for weather, you decide your course of travel, you see if there's wandering monsters, you end the day, blah, blah, blah. You can look for food and stuff. There's camping. There's dungeon turns, encounters. Okay, and then there's encounter reactions. I like that. D&D is always, every encounter is hostile or immediately attacking you. So the fact that those are rarer is nice. I like that. We got a weather one. We have a bunch of lore. I probably would prefer this be replaced with something else. I don't like, I'm going to write down the lore that I use, and that's about it. Okay, very good. So let's hop back up to the start. Some things that I think, like the hexes map, 200 pages. That's clearly what is the gold star here. I kind of wish there was maybe a little bit more synergy here with the player's book, because when I looked at the player's book earlier, I felt like there were some things that weren't, for me, and they weren't things that I was really interested in. I was kind of hoping that those things would maybe be a bit more justified with what you see in the campaign book here. I think you could have a lot of fun running this. I think it would be not too difficult for a GM to do this. I think you would get a lot out of it. There's a lot of lore. The thing that I'd be curious to see is, does this book and the other book provide enough stuff to pick things? Because you have so much stuff to pick, you need a way to pick that stuff. So that's interesting. The art has been consistently great, like the vibe, the aesthetic, everything I'm really impressed with. I think that it's still a game where I'd want someone to run it for me. Like, I don't feel comfortable hopping in and just doing this. Whereas I have ran Knave 2nd edition, and I was pretty comfortable just hopping in and running that. It felt a little bit more accessible. So there's almost so much stuff here that it could be a little bit tough to get into. And that's kind of how I feel at like a first impression, is like, it feels like, oh, this is a lot to digest. Where do you start? How does that look? Because like, I don't really, when I get together with my friends, I don't really want to have like, hey, these are the first few sessions, expect them to be rough and shitty. Like, I'd like to, start off decently strong. So to be able to do that, I think someone else would have to run it for me. I would just have to like see, how does someone else put all this together? And then I can, interpret that into my own thing. A lot of nice content. The lore here, I feel that I would not do a whole lot with this to start off with. The good sections for me are running a campaign, exploring the wild. You can pick a settlement, and then you have the hex descriptions. And then, like, these things for a first session would be plenty. It is lots of stuff. You don't need to, I don't think you need to read, 85 pages of lore just to have your first session. I don't really agree with that. What else did they say? Because there was a list somewhere, wasn't there? I thought it was early on. Oh, here it is. So let's take a look back at that. So read the player's book first. Yeah, I would suggest people read this book first and find an adventure that you want, because the player's book didn't it didn't catch me enough to want to keep going too much into it. Whereas if I think someone read this and was like, wow, look at all the great stuff that could happen here, you could start with that. And then you can decide, like, oh, I'll go read the player's book. Or you could do something like I might do and be like, actually, I'm already familiar with this game. We're just going to go with that. And that's okay. Like, there's no downside to that. I think you can skip the background reading. The rest of it, I think, makes sense, though. Pick a start date, pick a settlement, read a little bit about it, read about the area, place some adventures, figure that out, get some rumors, and then you're ready to go for your first session. You have a whole bunch of stuff, you have lots to work with, and then away you go. Cool. Okay, that is it. I think my conclusion is probably still similar, where it's like, yes, someone could run this for me and I would play it. I think I would enjoy it. The amount of stuff here is a lot. And that's why I'd want someone else to run it, is so that I could feel a little bit more digestible to be as a player first. I don't think I would feel very successful running this as a GM for the first time with new players and everyone learning at the same time. So there's that. Yeah, really enjoy how much effort was put into how connected everything is. Like, I can just click on pages and it will send me there. Like, the design of this book is really good, so I like that. Otherwise, I think that's really all my thoughts on it. I wouldn't have minded if there was more random tables in the appendices. That would have been fine. Like, there was a few things in these chapters which I think they could have just gone straight to the appendices and been there. Like, not the treasures section, probably not the settlement section, but like, there's a bunch of things in here for fishing, foraging, and hunting. But I mean, that's pretty minor. That's fine that they're their own chapter rather than in the appendices. But I just love when appendices, or when appendix is just, it's just all tables. You just get straight to all the content. It's just all tables, all usable stuff, all things you could bring up at the table. So that's pretty minor, but one thing I could see making improvement here. Yeah, so that's that. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm glad that I've taken like a much broader look at Dolmenwood now. The player's book, yeah, obviously is, I would say, is the second book really compared to this book. Seems like there are some other people that agree. So yeah, we've kind of completed that, which is cool. If you have any thoughts, or if you want to share your impressions of Dolmenwood, I would love to hear those. So feel free to leave a comment. And that is all that we have got. Thank you for tuning in.